Okay, so you have this 2 minutes with you to do this particular question, and we'll discuss the answer after that. Okay, so I'll start the time now. Okay, according to the guidelines, what the nurses must do, must means 100%. Okay, there is no option of not doing it. Okay, so the nurse will complete all consultation notes in the patient's home unless not appropriate. Okay, so they are indicating that if there is any kind of consultation notes that the nurse has to complete, the nurse has to do it at the patient's home, and there is a condition that if it is not appropriate, you don't have to do it. Okay, then comma, prior to beginning of the next consultation, so you have to do it before the next consultation starts, prior to the beginning. Okay, that means before the next consultation starts. Full stop. With a focus on nurse safety, the nurse will call the practice at the end of each visit before progressing to the next home visit, and will also communicate any unexpected circumstances that may delay arrival back at the practice by more than 1 hour. Okay, so again, this statement says that when with considering, because the nurses should always be safe, you have to, or the nurse who is going in for this home visit has to call, make a physical phone call to the practice, that means from where the hospital or someplace, after you finish, after the nurse finishes each home visit, and before she starts, or the nurse progresses to the next home visit. So this is the window where they have to make that call. Okay, after they finish one home visit, before they start the next one. Okay, and if it and when they inform and they call to this practice, they also have to communicate if there is any kind of unexpected circumstances, like maybe rain, unavailability of transport, or any such kind of unavoidable circumstances or situation that may cause the nurse to come late or to return late to the practice by more than 1 hour. Okay, then calling from patient's home to make a review appointment with a GP is sufficient and can help minimizing time making phone calls. So, if at all there is any kind of review appointment with the GP, it can be made from the patient's home, because it can help time, to save time for phone calls and all those things. Okay, now, um, on return to the practice, the nurse will immediately advise staff members of their return. So that is also a mandatory requirement, it seems, saying that once she comes back, she has to You have to tell the staff members that you came back. Okay, this time will be documented in the patient's visit list. So if it is what time did you reach back, that should be documented, and it should be scanned, and it should be filed by the administration staff. Okay, file means documented. Okay, so now if you read the each option, the nurse must advise the practice as soon as they get to the next home visit. So that A option says that you have to call, but as soon as you get to the next home visit. Okay, get means once you reach the new home visit, but the um, the the window to call was after you finish one, before you go to the next one. Okay, so obviously A is less likely, we'll still keep it on hold. If we didn't find anything more suitable, we can select that one. Okay, but definitely it could be having a better point. Okay, B option says call the patient to confirm a time before they make a home visit. Before they make a home visit, the nurse has to call the patient. No, the only requirement to call is to the practice. And then they have talked about making a review appointment with the GP. That is also some, these are the two areas where um, you have to make calls. Okay, and both of them, one is to the practice, the other one is to GP, but there is no information about making a call to the patient before you start making home visits. So obviously B is also incorrect. Okay, so if you go to this third one, C, inform fellow staff members when they return from a home visit. Yes, this one they have mentioned. That means you have to tell other staff members when they come back, and come back from where? From a home visit. So that is what, on return to the practice, the nurse will immediately advise staff members of their return. This time will be documented in the patient's visit list, file scanned and administrated by the administrative staff. So option C is the correct answer. Okay, we'll do the next one. Progressive horizontal evacuation. Okay, I'll again switch on the time. You have to read it and send me the answer. So, progressive horizontal evacuation. So, so the name itself is talking about horizontal evacuation, not vertical evacuation, not from top to bottom, from side to side. Horizontal word itself indicates from, side to side. Okay, not from top to bottom. Okay. Anyway, the principle of progressive horizontal evacuation is that of moving occupants from an area affected by fire through a fire resistant barrier uh, to an adjoining area on the same level, designed to protect the occupants from immediate dangers of the fire and smoke, a refuge. Okay, so that particular statement says that if you the you know the this principle of this particular kind of evacuation, which is called as progressive horizontal evacuation, is basically the principle of this particular evacuation is that you move the occupants, we are talking about patients, okay, from where are you moving them from, and to where are you moving it to. So you're saying that you are moving them from an area affected by fire to an adjoining area on the same level, okay, and you have to move it through a fire resistant barrier, okay, and this is designed to protect the occupants from immediate dangers of fire and smoke. Okay, so that is what this concept is, or this principle is. Okay, principle of this particular evacuation type of evacuation is, okay, the occupants may remain there until the fire is dealt with. Okay, so you have the occupants or the patients who have now moved um, from an affected area to an adjoining area on the same level. They can remain there until the fire is dealt with, either the fire is stopped, or all any kind of, if it is out of danger, or await, or you have to, or the patient has to wait further assisted onward evacuation by the staff to a similar adjoining area or to the nearest stairway. Okay, so if at all, there are two possibilities or two conditions that you have to ensure. The first one is either the patients can remain there until the fire is solved, or the fire is extinguished, or in other circumstances you can wait. Okay, and wait for what? For further assisted evacuation. So if at all you have to still, the patient has to be moved from that particular area where they are, where they are remaining. From there, if they have to move onward, or any kind of further evacuation happens, for that they have to wait. Okay, and adjoining area to the nearest, or either to the adjoining area to the, or to the nearest stairways. Full stop. Should it become necessary to evacuate an entire story, that means if there is no adjoining area, the entire floor or story is being evacuated, if there is a necessity to do that, this procedure should give sufficient time for non-ambulant and partially ambulant patients to be evacuated vertically to a place of safety. So they're saying that if um, there is an entire story that has to be vacated, in such cases this procedure, that is progressive horizontal evacuation, will give some time for for not for everyone, only for non-ambulant or partially ambulant patients who cannot walk. Either they cannot walk at all, or they can partially walk. Ambulant means walking patients, okay, to be evacuated vertically, or to maybe to bring them down to the next floor, or to the floor below that. Vertical evacuation to the place of safety. So yeah, so they have started with giving a small description of what a progressive horizontal evacuation means, or what the principle of this particular type of evacuation is. And the principle says that it is moving patients from affected area to an adjoining area, or to a close by area of the same level. Okay, and then and the reason why they want to protect it from immediate dangers of fire and smoke. Okay, then they have instructed what they should do after they move. They're saying that they have to either remain there till the fire is extinguished, or they have to wait for any further evacuation orders. Okay, and then they have mentioned another circumstances, one another circumstance when this particular horizontal evacuation can be useful for ambulant, non-ambulant, or partially ambulant patients. They are saying that in case if it is necessary to evacuate the entire floor or story, this particular procedure of progressive horizontal evacuation will give some time for non-ambulant and partially ambulant patients to be evacuated vertically to the place of safety. All right. So now, if you read the options, patients are evacuated through a fireproof barrier one floor at a time. Okay. So Half of the sentence is correct. Patients are evacuated through a fireproof barrier. Yes, that till there the information is correct, but not from one floor to an at a time. Okay, they're talking about from an affected area to an adjoining area, not one floor at a time. So two different meaning. So A goes. B says patients who can't walk should not be moved until the fire is under control. I think this rule is or this particular statement is having very poor credibility, because you like, in case of a fire they are instructing that the patient should not be moved till, what if the patient is not, if the fire is not under control, what will happen? You have to let them die? No. So this statement is incomplete. Okay, it's not giving out the complete meaning. Okay. Now the C option, patients are moved to a fireproof area on the same level to safely wait for help. Yeah, yes, that is correct. That is what progressive horizontal evacuation looks like. So, option C is correct. Yes. Okay. Very good. Yes, this one. This is our last one. Okay, let's see what happens. According to the extract, what is the outcome of reusing medical equipment meant to be used once? So we are talking about medical equipments, not just any medical equipments. The medical equipment that are meant to be used only once. That means reusable. Not see means non-reusable, or use and throw ones. Okay, equipments mean to be used once. So if you reuse these kind of medical equipments, what are the outcome? What are the results of this according to the extract? Okay. Cleaning and disinfection of endoscopes should be taken by trained staff in a dedicated room. So, yeah, that statement tells where the cleaning should be undertaken and who should undertake it. Okay, and cleaning of endoscopes. Okay, thorough cleaning with detergent remains the most important and the first step in the process. So, the most important and the first step in cleaning process, or cleaning and disinfection of endoscope, is thorough cleaning with detergents. Okay, it remains like that. It is not changed. Automated washer disinfectors have become an essential part of endoscopy unit. So there are, you know washers and disinfectors that are automated. Okay, and it is becoming important a part of this unit. Okay, machines must be reliable, effective, easy to use, and should prevent atmospheric pollution by the disinfectant if an irritating agent is used. Okay, so they're saying that they are talking about some qualities that these kind of automated washers or disinfectors should have. It should be reliable, it should be effective, it should be easy to use, and it also should prevent any kind of pollution into the atmosphere if this particular disinfectant is, or by the disinfectant, if there is any kind of agent which is irritating is used or which is harmful for the environment is used. Okay, troughs of disinfectant should not be used unless containment or exhaust ventilated facilities are provided. Okay, again, so when you're talking about disinfectant, you should not use troughs of that means you should not, maybe a particular way it should not be used unless there is any kind of contamination or exhaust ventilation facilities, or if these kind of things are there, then you can probably use it. Otherwise you should not use it. Okay, what, not just not using disinfectant, they're talking about troughs of disinfectant, maybe keeping them in troughs. Okay, whenever possible. So till now they are not talking about any kind of equipments or medical equipment that mean to be used once. Have to look for where they're talking about medical equipment that should be used only once. Okay, now whenever possible, single use or autoclavable accessories should be used. Okay, so maximum the preference should be given to using accessories that can be used only once, single use. Okay, the risk of transfer of infections from inadequately decontaminated reusable items must be weighed against the cost. So again, they are saying that if you are, reusing any kind of reusable items, then you should consider like what kind of danger it can pose, like transfer of infection, and you should consider all these possibilities before you try to use it. Okay, or whether if you want to, like, you should weigh it against the cost, like which is easier, which is less expensive. Like if there is, if the transfer of infection happens, you may have to spend more money to control that infection. So instead of that, maybe less money for that, you can buy a new equipment. So you should think which will cost you more. Okay, now again, the last one, reusing accessories labeled for single use will will transfer legal liability. So if a particular accessory or any kind of medical equipment is labeled single use and you use it again, reusing accessories labeled for single use will transfer the legal liability of the safe performance of the product from the manufacturer to the user or his or her employees, and should be avoided unless Department of Health criteria are met. So again, they are saying that, again they are saying that if you are reusing any which is used for single use, this there will be a transfer of legal liability. That means legally the person or the manufacturer will not be legally liable for any kind of problems caused by that. Instead, the user or his or employees will be legally liable. That means if at all you use a product which is labeled single use and you use it again, and if at all there is any kind of um, you know uh, action, or if you have a case or anything registered because of that, the a manufacturer will not have any kind of liability, because something that is labeled single use, if you use it again, it will transfer the liability of that particular product from manufacturer to the employers. Okay, very good. So that is why option number mm, A, the maker will not take legal responsibility of the state of responsibility for safety, is the correct answer.